All right, here we are, episode number 7, and I'm stoked to be joined by Rod Drury today. He first came on my radar a few years ago when he was pedalling up the Skyline Access Road on an e-bike, heckling at the trail crew there, and giving us also heaps of advice on the way down of how we could do it better. But
I thought I was saying, well done, boys.
it was lots of compliments as well. No, it was mainly compliments. And then again, when you got obviously helped the club with the hot rod trail as well, I think that's when I started to really take notice of who this man was pedaling up the access road, and that turned out to be Rod. So thanks for coming to join me, Rod, for this.
Congratulations, 7 episodes. It's good.
Yeah.
I've actually really been enjoying it. It's just sort of nice to hear a bit more of the stories, and I'm really enjoying watching the racing this year. So getting the people that have sort of been in the crews, giving them a perspective, giving all of us a perspective of what's really going on is super interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some of the guys back as well from overseas and picking their brains a bit more about what happened when they're over there. It's always quite exciting. But but we're here to talk about you today and a few more projects that you've been helping the Queenstown Mountain Bike Club sort of facilitate this winter and moving forwards.
The freshening.
Hashtag the freshening. We're going to do it. Yeah, so follow that hashtag, hopefully. There'll be a few more things popping up on that on Instagram and even Facebook, and hopefully in a few more places. There should be a lot happening this winter. But we'll start with just yourself, Rod.
Yeah. So I came, I was really into skateboarding when I was younger and used to read all the skateboard magazines, and then snowboarding appeared, and I must have been in the late 80s. When I got a snowboard, never seen the snow before, so hitchhiked down here. And the first season up on Coronet Peak, I think we started the Coronet Peak and Remarkables annual drinking event back then. That was good fun. And then came to Queenstown probably every 2 or 3 years. You just start sort of working, and you come down here for holiday, come down for skiing. Never really thought I'd end up sort of being down here full time. I was more into the beach and surfing, that sort of stuff. But I stopped working about 3 or 4 years ago.
So you dubbed yourself as fun employed.
Yeah, fun employed. So our business, Zero, the online accounting product, we it was just a full-on business. And one of those 24/7 businesses. I remember one Christmas a few years ago, just seeing what was going on, and there was 20,000 people on the servers doing their books on Christmas Day. So it was really one of those sort of roller coasters that you couldn't get off. So sort of got up to a certain size. I think we were about 2,500 people, and the opportunity came to step away and let someone else come and run the business. And when you're working 24/7 and have those many people, you don't really want to go back and work. So I was keen to find something else that I could do that wasn't work. And I'd always had bikes. I sort of grew up in Wellington doing lots of windsurfing, so everybody mountain biked, and we'd try to sort of go for a mountain bike in the morning, and it was pretty janky stuff back in those days, the old giant bikes, remember those yellow and pink ones? And so I had always done it. It was always pretty hard work, but I was really into windsurfing and really liked the beach, so hadn't really been here for a summer.
Yeah.
And then I had my first summer here 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, this is pretty fun. And then I came down with a few friends, and we met up with a mate of ours, Chris Dawson, and he took us up Skyline the first time. I hired some e-bikes, some of those first ones that weren't that great.
Yeah.
But it was, I remember going up, we sort of rode up the access road and came down Hemis for the first time. And it was really the first time I'd been on a trail with berms and proper trail, and I was like, holy shit, this is pretty cool. And, we were just blown away because it was our very, very first proper mountain bike trail. It wasn't like a janky kind of Wellington-style trail.
The first sort of flow, real man-made.
Yeah. And I thought, this is almost as fun as snowboarding. So, and then what I love about biking is, it's not so weather-dependent. With snowboarding or surfing, the tide's got to be right, the wind's got to be right, all those sort of things. But with biking, you can pretty much go every day, except for today, of course, because it's monsoon. But you can actually go and you can set goals every day.
Yeah.
And I remember actually, it must have been about 18 months ago, someone mentioned there's this track called McNeely Gnarly. And so we, went up there the first time, pedaled down, and it was like, holy shit, it's like Disneyland for adults. And that was it. I was just totally hooked, and ended up buying a place down here and been riding almost every day since.
Yeah. I'm just going to backtrack a bit. You get to back to Zero.
Yep.
So that was I guess your final company that you founded, Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That was about my fourth one.
That was your fourth company. So
Yeah.
what were so in the tech industry is your background?
Yeah. I just really like software. And I remember at school I got into programming. And I just loved the idea that you could use your brain to make machines, and you could build something that was basically selling while you were sleeping.
Yeah.
So it seemed like it had infinite scale, and I just loved programming.
Yeah.
So went and worked for Arthur Young, Ernst & Young it is now, big accounting firm, and then peeled off pretty early and had our own little software company, and then did sort of more and more of those things, and they just got bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And then just gave you the opportunity now to jump out and be fun employed.
Yeah.
But you still, get involved in a lot of projects. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Queenstown mountain bike stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got the brewery down the road and cargo, which you obviously quite invest a lot of time in, and a few other things. We'll talk more about the mountain bike projects you've got later. Yeah. But other little sort of investments like that, I guess. What do you see them as? Are they these little things like cargo? Is that an investment, or is that just another passion project similar to?
It's just fun. It just felt like I sort of driven past a few times, and I always thought when I was driving into town trying to get a good coffee or get some eggs for breakfast that you had to go into town. It was hard to park, and I thought it wouldn't be great if there was something at Arthur's Point, because it seems like a pretty neat place. And then I saw that Gantley's was there. I went in the first time, and it actually was pretty cool. It had nice floors and looked like a pretty relaxed place. Got to know Malcolm there, and I heard it was for sale, so I just thought it'd be a fun community thing to do. And so it's been quite a good project in there. We've done the outdoors. Henry Devereaux just put an awesome fireplace in there. We're just about to do all the new bathrooms. We want to have the best female toilets in Queenstown if we can. And we just hopefully at consent stage for putting a brewery at the back. But the idea is it's a really cool community place, and it's fun being involved with it. We like supporting small business and seeing what Malcolm and the team are doing there. And it's got vegan options on the menu, and there'll be a lot of things we can do. One of the fun things we actually haven't talked about yet, but where that cafe area is at the moment, we're keen to put a vlogging lounge in. Yeah. So you think about all the famous skiers and snowboarders that come here over winter and bikers over summer. And those vloggers like Sam Pilgrim and Matt Jones, they all love being in Queenstown, and the reach they have to the global mountain bike community and global snowboarding community and all that is huge. But if they're vlogging, they're often they're out all day, and then they've got to sit in their hotel room or a pretty shitty apartment or something for a few hours doing all of that. So we thought, well, we could get fibre in there, give them really good internet access, allow them to do their work and eat healthy while they can kind of see what's going on. And we can set it up so it's really welcoming for them, and then the community can get involved and meet those sort of famous people coming through. So
I think
that was actually one of the reasons for getting involved with Cargo and wanting to do it, was to create that environment where the locals can interface with the best people in the world.
Well, yeah, I only, how long have you owned it for now? A couple of years or?
I just own the building and the space, but it's Malcolm's business.
Yeah, because I've been there a lot over the last couple of years at least, but before that, never really went. Yeah. And whether it is through, the changes you've made or the management of the building, or you say just Malcolm's does he still lead the charge, or do you have quite a bit of an input into?
Oh no, it's their business. I'm just the
landlord,
just the friendly landlord. But there's other companies like Atlas and all that have been supporting the mountain bike community for a long time. I think there's a few other places as well that have been really good for biking and skiing. But it really wasn't much over this side of town, and it's close to me. So,
well, it's really taken off here, right? It's really, it's a good spot, and every time I go there, it's always quite a good atmosphere as well. It's not quite quiet. The staff are nice, but quite a local scene now as well in Athens Point itself. So it's
one of the really positive things of this whole COVID situation is, without having visitors here for the last year and me being here for 2 years, is you kind of get to see who all of the locals are, and it's been great getting to know all of the characters and being part of a community, and so while it's been hard for a whole lot of people, the nice thing about COVID, if there's any positive things to take out of it, is we have had this time we've had a pause and you get to know who the people are. And then so when the touros come back, we'll all know who each other are, which is pretty nice.
I think this has been an awesome year to see quite a lot of the old school locals, if you like, having the ability to get to know all the guys that have recently come to town in the last few years.
Yeah.
Not that it was particularly hard, but I guess with it being such a transient town, and if you're trying to make friends, well, you naturally make friends and they all leave. It does become quite hard to live here full time if you make quite a nice connection with someone and then 6 months later you don't see them again.
Yeah.
And to do that year on year becomes quite, I don't know, it does become quite, not frustrating, but almost like quite demoralizing maybe would be the word. I'm not sure, but you can definitely see why people do kind of retract and then stick to their core groups.
Yep.
And then this year, obviously the only guys that are left in town are guys that are probably just going to stay here for a while, so it's been awesome to see.
Yeah. And what's been surprising is you would think because of the quality of all of the sports people here, you would think it'd be wouldn't be as welcoming, but I found it completely the opposite. Everyone's been really friendly. The amount of girls that are out raiding on the trail is nuts. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize there was so many groups of just amazing females, and when you go down to at a midi dream and you see a whole lot of them doing backflips and all that sort of stuff, it's just nuts. So but everyone's so welcoming, and because I've been learning the sport, and you get down the bottom of McNeely and people will just give you some good tips moving forward, and all done in a very positive way. So it's a very inclusive place.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think the progression you see here is definitely drove by the people you get to ride with.
Yeah.
The tracks themselves, I think, do come in harder than maybe anywhere else you'll go riding. But like you say, fortunately, you got the locals here and the people that will give you the knowledge to know the best way to attack the trail.
Yeah. I mean, they won't take you to all the tracks, but,
no.
But the ones that people know about, that'll be good. I mean, I can remember watching through, for the last 3 years, I love watching vlogs. One of my favourite ones is Cole Rothman, the surfer on the North Shore. And, sometimes you're sitting there watching them, imagine being able to live on the North Shore with a pipeline's just in your backyard and you get to surf that every day. But I feel like that with biking. Like we live in the place where all of that is available to us. So I have, friends that come down all the time. The reason I've got so many bikes is because, I can have 4 mates down, so 5 of us in the car. So you need, 5 or 6 e-bikes, you need 5 or 6 downhill bikes. So, and then when they come down here, this is their fantasy. It's what they look forward to. And for us, being able to do it every single day is just nuts. Like if you had said 18 months ago when I first saw McNeely Gnarly that I'd actually get my wheels off the ground, and just over the last month, the progress has been huge, and I can, land pretty much every one except for that football field one with the 2 sticks pretty early up.
Yeah.
I can pretty much land all of them now, and I wouldn't have thought that I'd be able to jump like that.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
It's awesome, yeah. Obviously getting to ride with Lucy heaps. She's been picking it up over the last year, and the same with her. Her progression rate has been staggering, really. Yeah. I've been really stoked to see how she's progressed on the bike, and I think she has as well.
Yeah, it's actually quite a contradicting thing, right? Because all of us now wish that we were BMX bandits when we were young. But still, you see people that have learnt the sport in the last couple of years just completely sending it. But, it can't end well.
No. Yeah, I'm injured at the moment, so it does come with the territory sometimes. But
and look at the front door in your single shoe sitting there. It's very sad.
Yeah, it is quite a pitch sight to see. But so is that what attracted you down to Queenstown? Was it the community, the trails, a bit above because you say snowboarding was the initial sort of introduction to the town? Yeah. And the mountain biking's been what's been in the more recent years? Yeah, so it was the trails, knowing I could do something every day. But what I love it, and then the community came from that. So came for the trails, staying for the people maybe. Actually, the trails are really good. Yeah. And it's a real crossroads. So now I'm sort of not really working full time. Like being in Wellington where I was working, I don't really want to work. I'm just not part of that sort of group anymore. And I'm still out there for kids frequently, but. What I love about Queenstown is everyone comes here twice a year. Yeah. So I actually find you catch up with friends more here. And when they're here, they're not sort of racing to the next thing. They want to, stop and have dinner or
I've been taking out people for a ride, and it's fascinating. I'll take people out on the eaves that haven't ridden a bike for 20 years. And, sometimes they just come down here, maybe do a bit of skiing, to do some drinking. They'll still do that.
Yeah.
But if you take them, their first little playbook is that ride around Lake Hayes, and it's the first time people have been on a bike since they were kids.
Yeah.
And then they start getting into it. They actually and end up now having a whole bunch of business meetings. So if people want to catch up and pitch a business to me, they've kind of worked out that, no, I'm not going to sit and have a meeting with them, but if we go riding, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So that's how you get into your ear.
Yeah, it's a good filter.
No, it is pretty good. Because, you've obviously set yourself up to a position where you can live kind of wherever you want, I guess, within reason.
Yeah.
And you've chose Queenstown, so it's been pretty fortunate, I think, for me as a mountain biker in the mountain bike club and the community. Obviously, like I say, the first time that it really got my attention was when I heard the donation you made to help get that hot rod trail, which is the track that comes down from Coronet Peak. And then from that, it's, the scope on the place has kind of been pretty amazing.
Yeah. So we started, there's a bit of a story to that. So started about 2 years ago. So when I first started riding, went up and did Rood, and then up to, McNeely and to 7 Mile. And, you see the little markers, and that they were, the trails were done by the mountain bike club. And I hadn't realised how much effort of volunteers for years and years and years had gone into those trails. And especially seeing McNeely for the first time, I mean, that's a serious, properly built trail, right?
Yeah.
And it just blew me away that sort of infrastructure was there. And even Rood Rock, that was famous before I kind of knew about it before I got really back into biking. And so you could see the massive amount of effort that had gone on. And what I realised was, unlike ski, with ski there's strong actors. You've got NZ Ski, you've got the Wayfarer Group. So you've got proper businesses or proper marketing people. They can go and work with council. People understand ski, and there's businesses that are there advocating for ski and making sure that all the right things are happening. But bike isn't. It's much more of a community thing. But I think it has, probably, if not now, then in the future, it'll have a bigger impact on the local community than skiing itself.
Absolutely. It's so accessible.
Yeah.
You can't say, maybe if you're in Tokyo or not in Japan or in the middle of France, maybe in the winter you can go skiing out your front door, but, everywhere else you've got to drive to the mountain, get up there, and it's just quite a bit of a mess around to get up there. With mountain biking, doesn't matter what the weather's doing. You just open your door, get your bike, and then where we are, you can just jump straight into it.
Totally, and it's 12 months a year. I mean, even on a good snow day, after coffee at 11, if you had sort of 5 or 6 runs, I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
And then I'll, over last winter, go and do 7 Mile a little bit and get some bike exercise in. So I thought it'd be good to, see if I can get some more trails built. So I approached Adam Carlson, who was the president back there, and said, look, maybe I could give you guys some money. Can we build some more trails? And he said, actually, that's not the problem. The problem is maintenance. So we committed to give the club $100,000 a year, just to put on as a maintenance budget. And the idea there was to allow people to, be the people that are inside the club, the volunteers. We could take on a half-time person to help with permitting and that sort of stuff, and actually run a proper maintenance program. And I thought it'd be a good way just to sort of prove to the council and to the sort of tourism groups that biking was important.
Yeah.
And that was a really good experience. And then the hot rod opportunity came up, and I used to ride my e-bike up the climb. At the back of Coronet Station Road, there was a climb up, and then you'd go all the way at the top, come down Rood, and then you'd kind of come back down a normal kind of road. And it was like that's a waste of elevation. So I said, how come it doesn't go to the valley floor? And it turned out that the Trails Trust and the Mountain Bike Club had already been working on it, and that project was ready to go. It just needed funding, and it actually wasn't that expensive. So that was a good experience. And kind of funny story about that is we were talking about, as we talked about the track, I just called it hot rod. Every time they said that track, I'd say hot rod, which sounds like a really good idea right until it gets launched. And he said, and here's a new track, hot rod. Yeah. And here's Rod. What a dick. Anyway, that was fun. We won't do that again.
Don't use my name again for a trail.
Yeah. And then so that was a good experience. And then I was like, can we do more? And I'd been riding Skyline quite a bit as well. And it just seemed like, and I got to know you guys, and I realised for the impact that Skyline has on the town, there's really not a lot of sort of funding to do to how to make it better. So I started sort of thinking about, I had in mind that, building some more trails down here, we could really make a difference to the community. And it's fun, right? Selfishly,
Absolutely.
it's fun to have all the good trails. So I started really thinking about, well, what could we actually do? Could we go bigger? And then sort of started to talk to Destination Queenstown and the biking community, met the owners and operators of Skyline, and it started really. And I'd also been riding up on Coronet and Cadrona and got to know the Glendhu people pretty well, and you could sort of see that we kind of have a right to be the Whistler of the Southern Hemisphere, and we should be, and we were probably known as that. But other things are happening around the world, right? So you've got Derby in Tasmania, Bentonville in the States, the Walmart town, where they've spent millions on trails to attract people to work for Walmart, work in that town. You've got Warburton being proposed outside of Melbourne. Yeah. And I was kind of thinking, I was getting a little bit worried that if we don't invest in biking in Queenstown, then we don't become one of those places that you have to go. This is the place where everyone in the world who bikes should aspire to be here. And I spoke to council a bit and just realised that, especially with COVID and that, it just wasn't anywhere near the top of the list for funding. Yeah. So I figured I've done okay, and it'd be good to. I thought it'd be a really good bang for the buck to go serious. So we've committed quite a lot of money to do quite a few projects. So one is to do a big freshen up of Skyline. Yep. And part of it too was we have a unique opportunity. We've got some of the best trail builders in the world. Tom and Kep and Remy and all those guys. They're the best in the world. Normally they'd be off to do crankwork somewhere. So we have a time to keep them there. And also what's happening around New Zealand is other towns are working out that good trails need good trail builders. So I was kind of a bit worried that we were going to get all of our great trail builders pulled up to other places as well. So it sort of made sense, I think, to invest a really good amount of money so that our great trail builders would stay around for the winter, but also we can give Skyline a big refresh and just get it back to how it should be. I think we'd like to do more, but then you run into council and permissions and all of those things.
You get the red tape in the way.
But it's looking pretty exciting, and it feels like it was long overdue.
Yeah. Why do you think? Because you've come here, you've started riding, you've got involved in the scene, and you've thought this is incredible. It needs more funding. The mountain bike club, I think, is like the biggest club we've got in Queenstown. Why do you think it's taken for you to get involved to really, get that recognition from people like the council? Do you think that's fair to say? Or for me, I'm quite biased, I think, being in the mountain bike community already. But it feels like, since I come here, it's always felt like a mountain bike town. Yep. And I feel like it should have always been labelled, or maybe not always, but been labelled that a few years ago. And it feels like only just, and because due to your influence, I think, that the people have really started to take notice. And why do you think that is, other than obviously your...
Well, because it's not a commercial business, right? Yeah. So you don't have the, NZ Ski and Wayfarer Group, which do a great job on ski because professionals get paid to do it, and the money goes straight to the ski field. You can see the money, you can count the money. Yeah. Whereas you can't. You just know that it's out in the community, right? If there's more and more people coming through. So I think it's just a bit of an education process. So the reason for doing the first amount of money was to start to meter what was going on, so we could see, look, we spent this much money and this is the return we got back. Yeah. But I just think it's so obvious that there's no point waiting, we'll just go. And I think in terms, especially with the COVID situation, I think there's an obligation on people like me to be able to help out when they can. And if you look at the kind of hierarchy of trails, like there needs to be like a healthy pyramid. So we've got lots of grade 1s and grade 2 trails, like the network of those beautiful trails for gravel biking and families. That's awesome. Like some of the best in the world, and love getting out on the gravel bike and doing that. But that's pretty well funded. That's kind of like mainstream funding. So the Trails Trust has done a great job of getting corporates involved. There's lots of benefactors. They're a pretty well-oiled machine because it sort of suits that part of the market. It's a bit more corporate. But the exciting part is the extreme mountain biking. It's the people doing big jumps and, like the sand pilgrims and, all those sort of guys coming here. That's the thing that kind of sets the brand.
Yeah.
And and you've got to always have that really pointy end as well. So you've got to have that kind of healthy pyramid. Lots of sort of grade 1s and grade 2s. Yeah. Then some good grade 3s and progress track. And we're probably a little bit light on that sort of 2 to 3.
Yeah.
So we need to fix that with a few projects, which we can talk about. But then you've always got to be pushing forward. And I think Remy's really clear at this, right? You've got to just keep the state of the art's always changing.
Yeah.
And so you've got to make sure you're doing the pointy end. And, part of the projects we haven't quite landed yet, but is to, create an opportunity for Remy and those really top guys to do something where the global pros feel like they have to be here or they're not going to win Crankworks.
Yeah.
So it's getting all that balance through, but you absolutely have to keep going because, what was, the best 2 years ago can be overtaken. And you can just see that with all the videos we watch of overseas, right?
Yeah. Well, we've had, I think we're leading the way on the, with the progression in the free ride sort of.
Yeah.
Seen a bit. We've seen a lot of the girls scene, which you mentioned is very good here, or like excellent here.
Yeah.
And you see, I talk about Jess Blewett a lot on this, and she's like prime example of somebody coming straight out of Queenstown.
Yeah, just watching her and Vinny just rip. Robin doing the foundation event.
Yeah, you got Robin as well. She was the first girl to backflip at a female speed and style, which I guess is come about through the Wynyard Jump Park.
Yep.
And I think that is I feel like the Wynyard Park we've got is what sets Queenstown apart in that freestyle progression of any other place. And I think that's, if we've got anything that's already above in its time, I think the Wynyard Park's pretty good. Yeah. And I think, if we can keep that progression going, it's going to be awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm just so proud and so respectful of what Emerson and all the team down there have done. It's just beautiful. So, we just put 1,000 trees down there. We've been doing a lot of work up on tree space, Mount Dewar. And, so a big theme of the valley as well is ecological restoration. So, and you get this kind of really interesting situation where we want to get rid of the wildings, but also the cover's great. Yeah. So, but, we do have to rip the Band-Aid off and get rid of some of those trees. So being able to plant trees, and I just love that that the team down there had built such a great community asset, and then being able to beautify it with trees, but also get those young riders coming through. Just as they grow up, those trees will grow up with them. Yeah, and that's I think it's one of the nicest projects we've done over the last few months is getting that planted. So is this so tree space? That's something else you're involved with? Yeah, so tree space is Mount Dewar. So that's the mountain just as you look at it to the left of Coronet Peak, and so there's a guy called Adam Smith and his partner Mandy who own the Sherwood. They have this vision for building a ecological community up there. So there's about 53 sections, I think. And they want to build sustainable housing, and all of that kind of funds the reforestation of it. Yeah. So I've got involved with that as a shareholder as well. And we've just committed to, we're doing, I think it's almost a 50-kilometre loop all the way around. Oh, really? Yeah. So that's we just kicked that off. So Morgs and Henry Devereux of the Southern Devereux will be building that. So they've been getting their diggers sorted and doing a lot of planning with JT up there for that. Cool. So there's we've got the grade 1 and grade 2 trails the grade 1 trails all around the valley. And Willie from the Trails Trust is just a legend, and he's really been helping out on all the mountain bike stuff as well. So they've just got their approval or their resource consent to connect Arrowtown through to Arthur's Point and then into town. So that was a massive process. And fighting Doc did a 900-page submission against that project. Really? Which is nuts. So there's so much admin that's required. And again, we're talking to Doc about trying to fix this because it's just nuts. But so we're getting these nice links because they're not just for gravel biking off-road and but they'll be great for commuting from Arrowtown into Queenstown, which keeps everyone healthy and good. So that side's looking pretty good. And then we've got these just awesome, really big grade 2 and grade 3 trails. So Willie's been pushing for the last year, building a big loop around Coronet Peak. So from the bottom of what is it, halfway up Coronet?
down the back.
Is that the water? Oh, the Skippers.
Yeah, down the bottom of Skippers.
Yep.
So you go up there, and then I've ridden about 16 k's through it. That'll go all the way around to Macetown. So that'll be like a 4 or 5 hour 50k
Epic.
e-bike or an overnight on a normal bike. For me, it might be a whole week. Around the back, and that's special, right? There's water races and an old gold hut, so that's beautiful.
I think that's what. So, and that's all Dockland.
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah.
Is that not? So, I don't know really much about the politics behind the reason, but is not one of the best things about having this landscape is the opportunity to be able to share it with people. And for me, I see mountain biking as being the tool to be able to get people to these places. And
totally.
So I don't see why Doc's.
Yeah, and it's getting rid of predators. It's it's trapping. It's being able to plant, get rid of pine. So, and if you look at the values of DOC and what they're trying to do, like biking and trails, is all about that. So there's just a bit of untangling that has to happen, but we are getting through the process. So that sort of long distance riding, we should hopefully towards the end of summer, in the second half of summer, that whole loop will open up. So that's a massive new asset.
Yeah.
Then the Mount Dewar thing, that'll take a while, probably another season or two, but we'll have a close to town loop.
Yeah.
And the back country of that is just nuts. It's just beautiful there above the Shotover. So we've got that going on. Then we'll have Skyline, so having a big bite of that, and you can probably give us more of an update of what's happening with that one. Then there's bits we can do inside Wynyard. So I think Kep's going to do a trail from the table down to McNeely.
Yeah, as an alternative to the Salmon Run, which is the current way down, which is pretty gnarly, really.
Yeah. I'll take your word for that. Yeah. It was pretty rainy when I went there the other day, to be fair.
Yeah.
And then, Tom's always had a vision of that sort of face going across.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of downhill we can do there, so there's a lot of work.
That's the face that goes from Kelly's Table across above Fernhill.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Below Ben Lund. Yeah, that is...
Yeah. So it'd be nice to... that's a good direction to work on. So that's not approved yet, but that obviously you go that way. There's talk of a trail from 1 mile car park out to 7 mile.
Yeah.
And just for safety reasons, that should be done.
Yeah.
And then kind of more long. So all that's happening. We've also and it's been really fun working with the Skyline team, working with you guys.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. Also been talking to Cadrona. They want to do a little bit more, so we're supporting that. So once we get through the Skyline and Wynyard projects that are in the program for this winter, then as the snow line starts going down, we should be able to do a bit more at Cadrona as well. So they're right into it. But that's they're making a big investment in that, and it's not really washing its face yet. So we kind of thought, because we've been doing so much free riding, that we should support those that have to get a commercial return as well, because they're investing heavily. Yeah. So there's some stuff going on at Cadrona, and then also been working with Glendhu, because they've done an amazing job and a really bold thing doing a business like that.
Yes. Yeah.
So we wanted to give them a bit of support too. So there's a couple of trail ideas we have in mind there, and again, it's all the same people. Tom and his crew have done some great work out there, and there's some obvious new trails that'll make that even better. Because what happens when people come down here for a week, they have so much variety, right? Yeah. You can do a day on the downhill bikes at Skyline. You can go up to Coronet Peak. You go and do your jump laps in Wynyard.
What you can get in a couple of hours out of town even just via car is...
Yeah.
I don't know if there's many places quite like it, really.
Got Dunstan Trail's amazing. And
that's just opened up recently, yeah. Have you done it yet?
No, I wasn't about to. Actually, here's a business opportunity for someone. Well, someone should. There must be some sort of 20-year-old plus with a driver's license who's into biking. They could, drive to Clyde and then ride their bike and then meet people on the Cromwell side. Yeah. Swap bikes over. So whoever can drive over, jump on their bike, ride to Clyde, and they can throw their bike on the back of the truck. Yeah. And leave the keys at Oliver, charge like $100.
Ballet service.
It'd be perfect. Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's a hot tip from a
someone go and do that.
Yeah. Well, so we talked a bit quickly about we've obviously got the development of the Skyline Hill.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that. So I'll jump in a bit on that. So for the people, we obviously, through Skyline, we've been kind of taking care of the maintenance within the bike park since I've started. And yeah, over time that dirt has just came off the hill via people's tyres or even been washed out by the rain. And we currently don't have a full-time trail crew through Skyline, although we do get out there. We're a quite small team, and we're also tied up between that and general Skyline operations. So it became a bit of just for the amount of riding it got on the hill, it wasn't getting as much maintenance as what it could have. And this has obviously been identified by us, and then Rod, you've been able to get all the trail builders in, and that's why we've now got 5 crews including Skyline. So we've got Kep, Elevate Trail Building, or Kep's now Dirt Tech.
Yep.
If anyone needs any more trails building somewhere else, Elevate. We've got South Star. Jacob and Remy are starting their company as well, which is Flux Trail. And then we've got Skyline as well, and I essentially put together a winter plan every year for what we want to get done, and it, for the most part, we do get through every trail, but not always to the level we would like to. So now with the help of these other awesome trail builders, it looks like we're gonna be able to get it done. So
the freshening.
We're gonna hopefully have a few more photos upcoming soon. I think we're gonna start with original Squid Run. Upper Hammies is going to get another relay similar to what we did on the lower half. There's going to be, Armageddon's getting a bit beaten up at the moment, so that's going to get freshened up. Well, heck yeah, there's going to be heaps going on. Vertigo as well. But what...
And isn't it cool, right? Because because every rider in New Zealand has to come and do it this year, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think come spring, that is going to... The idea, I think, is to, like we say, we're calling it the freshening. And that's what it is. So we're almost just resetting the hill to what it was before this dirt got ripped off by everyone's bikes, I guess. So some people sometimes call it dumbing down, but it's not that at all. All the trails have their grades, and they're not going to be toned down a grade. They're just going to be, they will be perceived as being a bit easier, but that's just because they're going to be hopefully look less eroded by September. So that's awesome. I think there's keep your eyes peeled on Instagram for how things go through the winter on that. So we should be seeing some things soon. So again, you've got all these trail builders involved. So it seems like you're very key in, giving these guys, we've got these amazing trail builders and just keeping them into it. What's the...
Yeah, well, I think that's part of us keeping them here, and with COVID times, giving them some certainty so they can plan. But also, what I love is they're growing their businesses. Right, we're seeing new businesses grow in front of their eyes, and as we get through this bit of work, they're going to get asked to travel all around New Zealand. So hopefully, they'll bring on the next generation of young trail builders after that, and we just see the thing grow. And then when the borders open, they'll be able to go and we're building the best trails in New Zealand. Hopefully, they'll be able to travel and build their businesses globally and bike and see the world through their great trail building, which again just keeps building connections back to Queenstown. What's been great about watching the last few World Cup events is just the impact that New Zealand and all those New Zealand riders have spent a lot of time down here. I mean, they're just going off. Yeah. And I watched that Phil Atwell video the other day. Yeah. With George. Oh my god.
Down in Warzone, yeah.
It's just ripping.
Yeah.
And you watch what Jess is doing and and all the team, it's unreal. Like anyone who's biking wants to be here.
Yeah. So we've got Gorge Road as well. We talked about that briefly before we started.
Yeah. So Gorge. So with all that good stuff we're doing, Gorge Road is a real slap in the face, and it's been an issue for a long time. So, effectively the council's doing a whole lot of waterworks projects, and they need somebody to put their pipes down. It's it's as annoying as that. So. They had said they were going to build another park on Queenstown Hill, and I didn't understand why Gorge Road was so important. To me, it's the BMX thing. I didn't really understand it, until I went down and watched it, and I was like, oh my god! I mean, this is it's just absolutely beautiful. And then you watch a few YouTube videos. But I was going up in the lift with some English guys one day, and what I realised was a lot of those English pros come down here, or they can stay here for all of summer because of Gorge Road. They can keep that kind of intense dirt jump training going. So it's not just that it's a great facility, it's one of the essential reasons the top people come here, and allows them to come here for our summer, their winter.
Yeah.
And you can't, even though, if you aren't into biking, you think, okay, it's just get the bulldozers in and slap some dirt for a little bit. But there's, 10 years of getting each jump absolutely right. You can't replace that. And it has such a special place. So I didn't really want to get pulled into it, but, we've been, because we do have a good relationship with the council, and we are educating them on the importance of bike. And so we've been pretty active in making the point that, look, we're doing all this good work and, spending quite a bit of money. It is a slap in the face if we lose Gorge Road, and especially if we lose it before we've built the other one, which was always going to be part of the plan.
Yeah.
So lots of people working on that, but if you're out there and you're pissed off, flick a note to Jim or to any of the councillors and let them see, because they just don't understand bike.
Yeah.
But I think they're starting to. So the more they hear about it, about the impact that it has. But, we've sent them, some great videos and great YouTube videos around the importance of Gorge Road. So I think they're getting it.
Yeah.
But the more they hear, and, so it's probably going to go, but the door's not totally closed. Last I heard just this afternoon is we've got another reprieve to the 1st of August, which gives the council a bit more opportunity. Hopefully they can find some other land where they can park pipes. And also Nathan and a few others have been really proactive at, look, just keep the jumps and we can clear out the containers, so you can put pipes down there.
Yep.
But you'd think there'd be somewhere else in Queenstown we could use. And we've also
absolutely.
said, well, what would it cost if we brought the land and then donated it back, and we could put a skateboard bowl or anything down there as well, and turn it, plant it, light it, turn it into a first-class facility. So it'd be a real shame to lose. So if you're pissed off about it, flick a note to one of the councillors.
So you think there is a strength in numbers within town?
I think they just don't know. So people are, the councillors and Destination Queenstown is starting to understand bike, but it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a new thing and it's been a little bit underground. It's very community. It's never had kind of strong actors or commercial, people that make money out of a business. So it's kind of, there isn't just a strong voice. So it has to be voice in numbers. Yeah. But it's a pretty special thing when you look at the history and, you just watch videos of all those top pros coming down and how well they regard it. It is part of our biking identity. And again, if our strategy is to be, Whistler of the Southern Hemisphere, it's a key component of it. Yeah.
With that Whistler of the Southern Hemisphere feeling.
Well, that can be Queenstown of the Northern Hemisphere.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. This is, I think my thing I'd love to start to see is that it's, Whistler's got the heritage.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be Whistler? Let's be honest. It's got an outstanding reputation and it's been there since day dot. But I feel like with the guys that we've already had coming to town year after year, and the community we've got here, and the riding we've got available, I think we need to let people know that we're not Whistler, we're Queenstown, and
it's better.
And we're better. Yeah, we're different, and we're better, and.
Because I think coming to New Zealand, the cool thing about New Zealand, this is in business as well as just sort of normal life, it's a fantasy destination. People want to come here. It's the other end of the world. And we're not competing with Whistler because it's different seasons, right? Yeah. So it's all part of the thing, but we want to be we should be that must-do destination. And why do we want that? I mean, you could argue, actually, we don't want people riding our trails, but I think... we can have a positive impact on everybody. So if it's the best place to ride, it can become the best place to live. People can have careers here. Their kids can stay here and not have to go somewhere else for school. Yeah. So by making it great and then getting the economic benefit distributed around all the small businesses that are here, then it does make it a great place to be. And and it's all within our control. I made a decision to move here, so you might as well make it the best community. It's not for someone else to go and do it. I think all of us can just make it better, and that, may mean going, you can help out by doing Wednesday night digs, doing some fundraising. Peter and I, the new president of the club, McNally, we went and spoke to the Chamber of Commerce and a couple of Friday mornings ago and explained what we were doing. And ask the businesses, we want you all to, give us 10 grand a year because you guys all benefit from it, or adopt a trail. It's pretty common because it is broadly distributed. All the benefits of bike are great, but it's also really healthy and what a fun place to live.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been here just over 7 years, and before moving out here, I never thought I was going to stay here originally.
Yep.
And I think I got maybe 3 months into the summer after spending, because I got here at the start of winter really, and then about 3 months. By the time we got to Christmas, I was like, this is a lifestyle now. This is permanent. And I think it was I think mainly the community as much as the trails, because the trails are one thing, and we've got amazing trails in the UK as well. But it's the whole, you've got the experience here. I just had a Pang on the last podcast, and you got guys like Pang and Tom and all the you Pete McNally's as well. How old's Pete now? And he's still shredding harder than me probably. So, and it's just that whole community and that way of uplift. We all seem to uplift each other. I think is just incredible for personal gain. I think like physical personal gain. I mean, as much is it definitely elevated me to be a better rider, which was always what I always strived for. And in Queenstown, it just seems to be so easy, not just because of the trails, I think because of the guys that are here to push you on and to make you look silly or on a bike. So you've got to up your game to be competitive with them, whether that's a 12-year-old kid or a 70-year-old Pete.
But also for people that are still in business and doing great work, like biking's such a good thing if you can regularly ride. So one of the things I've always talked about is, and there's such a focus on wellness and those things. Like if your brain is a biological computer, by going out and sweating, by doing the manual climb up McNeely, you physically move everything around. You can't feel the same, so it's a really good stress thing. And the other sort of big secret about sports like biking is your brain requires time for unconscious thought. So you have all these problems and you set out for a ride and you start kind of riding up the hill. Always on the way down, because you've been focusing on getting around the next corner, what's coming up, that little pinchy climb. Always on the way down, your brain's just put all the puzzle pieces in place, and you have this euphoric feeling of you've solved some of your big problems. Like I get that all the time, and biking just immediately gets you into that state where you're focusing on what's in front of you and that sort of 10 meters of dirt going up the hill, and you come down and your big problems are solved. So I'll come back, I'm sweating, I'm writing notes, I'm sending emails in the car, because it just gets you into that state where you can be really effective. So I've always found, and I say this to people that are working seriously, like take an hour a day out and go for a ride up a hill, sweat, have some fun coming down, and it'll solve a whole lot of problems.
I think it's amazing what your brain can do, and I think this is maybe a bit of a segue, but how you say you go down a trail and you the way you pick it apart, what I always think is that the memory aspect to riding is funny. If I have to know something, like somebody tells me something that I've got to remember, I'll forget it. But if you talk to me about a specific route on a specific trail on a specific corner, I'll know. After riding hundreds of trails, I'll still know exactly what you mean. You retain that trail information ready for that next ride, and it's, I don't know, it must be, that's only good for, I've got a pretty average memory, but I can probably remember every single trail in Queenstown after riding it twice. Yeah, wow. And, I think maybe not twice, but definitely they're quite complex, trails have got roots, rocks, trees, ruts, puddles. And and
then as soon as you're bored with the trail, ride down with someone better than you, and you see a whole lot of new lines you didn't even know about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that as well. Yeah, so the way somebody else reads it as well is totally different. Yeah, but it's got to be good for the old brain. I think going out on the bike.
Other thing I thought would be just interesting to talk to, because you haven't covered on the pod yet, is the role of e-bikes as well. So when you first saw me, I was grinding up the access road on an e-bike, and it blows me away that people naturally ride up to the table on a normal bike. But I found, coming from working all the time, that was e-bikes was such a great way to get back into the sport. And now I probably ride my natural bike probably 40% of the time, because you get so much more. You get so much more riding in. I reckon you get that kind of 60 or 70% kind of heart rate, really good base fitness. And especially here, because you are riding hills all the time. So you absolutely get fit, you lose some weight, all those things. But because you can ride up and you do more and more rides going down your schools, get there faster. But then what I've found is I actually love getting back onto my natural bike now. So I try not to do too many days in a row on the e-bike. I want to jump on my 140 and ride that. and even learning to jump. E-bikes are so stable; they're a great way to learn to jump. But then when I jump onto a normal light 150mm bike, and it's just such a cool feeling throwing it around. It's like
what's your e-bike of choice? You've got a few.
Yeah,
Which one's your favourite?
So for the e-bikes, I love the Specialized. Just the integrated platform. Got a clown shoe on the front. The new one's got a 29er, so that's I actually quite like that. The new one's really good, and I like Yetis. I got an SB165 for here.
Yeah. So that's the longer travel.
That's a longer travel one, and that's great up at Skyline. And if you need to pedal a bit, if you're going to do squid, and that, because that. Yeah, can you fix that right out on a downhill bike? It's horrible. But anyway, so 165 is great if you're going to do that, or you do the full downhill bike and have to pedal a little bit down the bottom. But I've actually found, with some of the great flowy trails, I actually prefer riding the SB140.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much lighter.
Shorter
so
travel
you can definitely be over suspended.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm doing rude and hot rod now, 140s is a weapon of choice.
The go-to. Yeah. It's good to have I think that the bike park does take a bit of a burlier bike. It does get pretty rough, but hopefully by spring you'll be able to take your hardtail up there and should we
I mean the big secret there with an e-bike too, it's all year round, right? So I sort of felt a bit naughty. So I don't mind paying, I love paying for for my Skyline pass because you get to use it all year round, and even though you don't go up the lift, you're still using the trails, so always feel happy about paying that, because it's for the amount of riding you get compared to snowboarding.
Yeah, we used to call things like that just the Queenstown tax. If when you buy your bike pass or your ski pass, it just seems to be the Queenstown tax, if you like. But again, like you say, the mountain biking's year round. The Skyline's 8 months of the year pretty much. Yeah. But the pass is around about $800 now. I think if you get the Queenstown Mountain Bike Club discount as well, it's $799. So it's
that's compelling.
$100 a month pretty much.
Yeah.
And you think of all the other things that you'd spend that on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, so it's pretty tough to fork it out at the start of the season. But then I guess by the time the season's come to an end, it's probably one of the best investments I think you'll make. Yeah. By the end of the season, and again, the community. What I've loved about working at Skyline, especially just doing the lift part of the job, which is definitely not the most glamorous part. You'd rather be out there swinging shovels on the trails, but you get the opportunity to meet the community again, which is, I think, I've spoke about it and you spoke about it a bit, and that's what, does bring this town together. And I've been fortunate again with the transient nature of the town, is making those connections quite well over the course of a season, because you spend so much time in terminals just talking to guys. Yeah. And then they'll go off back to Whistler, Europe, wherever. And you've made such a connection through this mountain bike community that I'll never be shy to talk to hit these guys up if I ever do go to meet them. It does give you quite a strong connection, I think, through the mountain bike lifestyle, I guess, which is I don't feel like I get that with many other sports. It's not so welcoming, I guess. Yeah, and this is a few places where the heroes of the sport they're all here. Yeah. So it's kind of last thing I had to talk about was so one kind of program we're sort of starting to work on at the moment is how do we make it compelling for all those top pros to come down here and base themselves. So it looks like the world's not opening up as fast as we would have thought. So I reckon Queenstown's completely compelling for the top riders in the world to come and spend our summer. So because they've moved the Crankwork dates around, the Crankwork guys have been working on visas of getting the athletes in. So a lot of those top people look like they're coming through anyway. So that's cool. So I've just been chatting to the likes of Arcadrona and a few other tourism operators here, try to work out how can we take some of the cost out of those young pros or young aspiring pros are coming down here. Yeah. So Cadrona seems to be up for it. They, people staying in camper vans, they're looking at opening up their car park and having power and internet, and opening up potentially one of the apartments people can have showers and that sort of stuff. So they'll be able to build a bit of a community around that. And there may be places, maybe there's some boarding places where we can, make it really easy for young athletes in their 20s to sort of come here, be safe, but not spend too much money. Yeah. So they can be here for 3 or 4 months, and again, they just build a connection for life to Queenstown, but also all of that kind of social media content they create just helps build our story as well.
So just sort of working through what we can do with that. And if we have all those top pros here, then all the local events that we have just has the best riders in the world, and that's going to help for all of our athletes too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the Crankworks is coming here in November. There's been like talk of summer series. Do you know much more about that?
Well, that's all being worked on at the moment.
Just been worked on.
Yeah.
Nothing. I know there's nothing set in stone. I didn't know.
But I think if we're pragmatic about it, and there's a consultation process going on with Destination Queenstown at the moment, is that could be one of the guerrilla things that we do, is just make it absolutely compelling for all those top athletes to be here. They come anyway, right? The teams come and do their things. But we could do some fun stuff. We could put like a cable cam down Dream or Mini Dream. Yeah. Put a cable there. You can just throw your GoPro on and just make it really easy and welcoming. This vlogging lounge we're planning on doing would really help. Yeah. And just be open for business and be welcoming for those people and ambassadors for life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see that. I think the two that stand out for me is our dog, I think, coming through every year. Yeah. And Elliot Jackson as well. I've been to, and Bernard Kerr as well. Those three, I think, over the last few years, I've seen definitely enjoy it the most and seem to be the most recurring guys. I'm sure there's a few others as well, but it's been awesome to know that, again, they can probably take the pick of anywhere else that's sunny, where I think Spain might even have a kind of a similar season to ours, where it's always kind of sunny in Spain, but they choose to come to Queenstown, which is, for anyone that's not professional and has the means to get here for a season, I think it's like a bit of a no-brainer, really. And again, like you say, we're getting the ability for people to make careers here through, the projects that you've set up and the trails that we've been able to make through to your help through the club and things, which has been pretty outstanding. So yeah, it's a pretty awesome place for people to definitely come for a summer like I did and then stay here for another 7 years so far.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, other projects we talked about, your brewery. Any other secret projects that are in the future moving forward from this?
Well, just between us, because I'm sure no one's listening. Well, I'm actually really excited about wake surfing. So I had a few guys out on the boat, and it's pretty dusty here over summer. Yeah, and being able to go out into that lake after a ride is just quite awesome. So been playing around with wake surfing over the last year, and it's interesting because the boats don't put out that much wave. Yeah. So the waves are about 600 mil high, and you kind of trim along them. Yeah. So I was watching the America's Cup, and I thought, well, and the other problem is you end up, having to put like 1,000 kilos of water in there to pull the boat down. Yeah. Which is pretty expensive to, have a petrol engine pushing that around. So one of the fun projects we're working on at the moment is experimenting with a electric, fully dedicated wake surfing boat. Okay. So our goal is if we can get up to like 1.2 meter high wave and a really long wave. So if you could do like a forehand, backhand sort of cutback, proper figure eight, that'd be quite a different sport. Yeah. And we have looked at using the foiling technology, not to lift the boat out of the water, but to pull the boat down, so you don't have to. Okay, so you don't need the water to all the water. Board. Yeah. So just that, like the surf boats go at about 20 k's, and so you can have it so that when you're less than that, you're not really pushing all of the weight around. When you hit that speed, then the wings deploy and pull the boat down. So that's probably we'll get to in step 2, but we're actually probably just going to build a really big boat with a big wave first. So is this something that you've thought of with a few people, or is it just something you saw in? I really like the only thing I really miss being in Queenstown is surfing. Yeah. And as you get older, I don't want to go out if it's more than sort of 4 or 5 foot. I've got no interest at all. And also it's got to be early in the morning and all that. And the kids, it's always hard. But being able to have mountain biking and then being able to get out on the water. So I've been playing with flight boards, those electric foils a little bit. And then that's kind of led on to wing foiling, which is quite a complementary sport to biking. And but I love the wake surfing because it's really social. So have 8 to 10 people out on the boat. It's really close to the boat. Yeah. And it's just beautiful being out there. So a few of us have been out there over the last summer, but I reckon the wave's too small. Yeah. So but this foil idea is this something that you? Yeah, or just actually not doing a compromised boat that's trying to be a water ski boat and and a wakeboard boat and a wake surf boat.
Yeah.
Because once you wake surf, you don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
So if you can just make the biggest hole,
Yeah.
which makes the biggest wave, and then play with shaping that wave. So one of the ideas actually is building essentially like a flat bottom boat, and then we can 3D print and bolt in different shaped holes underneath to control once you get the hole in the water, that creates the shape of that creates the size of the wave, and then we should be able to play around and get the shape of the wave. So got some guys playing around with CAD software to see if we can make the biggest wave, but don't tell anybody, it's a secret.
I won't tell. I'll keep that one. I'll edit that out after.
Great.
I also saw you've got an old Porsche. Are you turning that into electric car? What was that project? I
love Porsches and I love electric cars. So we're just about to kick off building an electric Safari.
Yeah. Oh, wicked.
Yeah. So that's quite fun.
So you've got the car at the moment. Have you stripped out the old engine?
Yeah, we've got a Elephant Racing sort of 4x4. It's actually not 4-wheel drive, but a sort of jacked up kit. And then we found a crowd in the UK that make a kit that has a Tesla motor in it, and all the battery systems, so that sort of plugs in. So putting the electrics and the Safari kit, so put a little bike rack on the back of that, and I'm sure there'll be a VHS video or something with that featured sometime next year.
Epic, yeah, I look forward to seeing it. You just it's a bit of a tinkerer, but you've managed to...
I just love doing that sort of projects, and putting it all together is always fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. I look forward to seeing them, and look forward to getting out on that board.
Yeah.
We've just punched over an hour there, so we can wrap it up there, and I'm sure we can find time for another one of these when we get a few more trail maintenance things underway.
Yeah, good. Well, congrats on the podcast. I like to listen to it. I probably killed the listenership now, but love what you do.
No, I think a lot of people, I think, will be quite interested to hear a bit more about you, Rod.
I think I've got the record of the worst biker that's been on the podcast so far. Is there someone worse than me?
You might actually have that one.
I need a t-shirt.
Yeah, well, actually, you can at least ride at the moment.
Yeah.
I can't ride, so I'm probably the worst at the moment. I've been out of action the whole time I've been making these. So yeah, but we can maybe get a t-shirt made up if it gets a bit bigger.
Excellent.
No, cheers for coming on.
Thanks, Jimmy.
We'll hopefully do another one soon.